And thank you so much for hosting us today. And this is a glorious afternoon. I don't know if you all were out this morning. It was a little sultry. And so I am so grateful to be here. I am Janice Arnold-Jones. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 1st Congressional District you're standing in. I would love to earn your vote. I want to tell you a little bit about myself because there are a few of you that may think that I'm a new face. In 1963, my father, an Air Force pilot, was killed on active duty. As a young widow, my mother gathered up my brother, my sister, and me, along with her dreams, and carved out a new life for us in New Mexico. We call it home. Mom worked hard. She came up with creative solutions, and she solved our problems. You know, I am so thankful to my mother for inspiring me with such incredible determination. I am a graduate of the old Albuquerque High School at Broadway and Central, and also the University of New Mexico. I am married to the love of my life, John Jones, a retired Navy commander. Absolutely. And I'm keeping it. And I am so honored and blessed to have two terrific young adults as my children. My son Robert is a Java developer, and he just moved to New Orleans. We won't talk about the timing. It was a little stressful for mom. And my daughter Mary is a law student at Temple University. I served 4 terms in the New Mexico House of Representatives, where I was assigned to the Tax and Revenue Committee. I spent 8 years in Santa Fe working on legislation, including taxes, election law, public policy, and protecting your money. I am running for Congress because our nation is facing profound problems that are getting worse. We must change course. Our national debt is out of control. Our vital entitlement programs are running out of money. And our economy is floundering with heartbreaking levels of unemployment, much of it long-term. We are losing influence abroad. And the world's worst terrorist nation, Iran, is on the verge of acquiring nuclear weapons, while our superb military is threatened with disastrous cuts. We need savvy, experienced leaders with the right policies. With your support, I will be one of those leaders. So, let's talk about the future. And then, send me to Washington. Thank you. Pastor Max, do we have time to entertain any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
First thing you're going to do when you get to Washington?
There are so many first things. If Governor Romney is elected, I will stand with him to help repeal the PPACA, or the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. And I tell you that because I am a legislator. I dislike log roll legislation. There are 3 pieces in that legislation that I will fight for. And we will do that in separate bills. The first piece is making sure that kids will be covered on policies until they're 26. That's a good thing. Pre-existing conditions, we have been fighting this for a very long time. And with all respect to people who are insurance industries, Johanna, I believe it is time that insurance be available across state lines. Those are things that we can do without the ill effects of the rest of the bill, and we need to do it now.
Anybody else have any questions?
Why?
Well, given that the Democrats seem to want to use they call it bottom-up economics of stimulating the economy, and the Republicans want to use the top-down or the Friedman model of economics. So basically, we're talking about Keynesian versus Friedman models of economics. Can you kind of briefly compare the two and tell us when maybe Keynesian has succeeded, or when the Friedman economics has succeeded in lowering the jobless rate?
Okay, so let me lay some ground rules here. Who understands Friedman? Anybody? What? Okay, who understands Keynesian? Okay, good. Let me just lay this out for you. Generally speaking, Republicans will take a free market approach where the government doesn't provide the answer, but the free market does. I support that approach. Democrats typically believe that government will intersect with private business and actually change the structure of things. What we have seen time and time again is that it doesn't work. And let me give you a really good example. The government under the DOE, and I am a DOE contractor, so here's an example of the government trying to assess a private industry business plan. Solyndra was a private industry business plan. Do you know how much money we spent on Solyndra? $500 million. Right. Can you all see any result from that $500 million? Absolutely not. It's bankrupt. And that's the point, is that if you assume that government can make those decisions, you will see more Solyndra. Personally, I believe we are better served when private industry not only makes that decision, but takes that risk without your tax money. So I hope that that's, I appreciate Friedman and the Keynesian perspective, but I hope that helps.
Any other questions? I would like to have a quick note about Ms. Jones also. When she was in the legislature, she became known as a sunshine lady because she put a stop to these backroom deals by bringing in and making accountability to the public what was going on in the legislature. So she is known as a sunshine lady because she brought the light in where the dark was. Okay? So anybody that wants to tell the truth is not going to worry about the light. The person that does not want to deal in truth, they want to work in the dark. Amen? So I think she's going to bring that to Congress also, because there's an awful lot of backroom deals going on, and that has got to stop. We are the employers. They're the employees. We need to know what the employees are doing. Amen? But I just wanted to add that one footnote, because I really believe in her honesty and the fact that she likes to be above board. Now that's why you see the legislature on TV when they're in session. Can't hide too much. Amen.
They're sleeping at your desk. Thank you, Pastor Matt.
Amen. I know. I'd like to bring that up.
I have voter registration forms here. If there's anybody here that needs to register to vote or change their address or their name or anything to do with the registration, I have voter registration forms here.
Well, see, I had called for that because, like I said, my church members, I got to get them registered. There's a lot of Hispanics in my church and a lot of Native Americans that are trying to get them registered. And so if I have to, I'll become
Well, I would actually volunteer to come to your church.
Okay.
And
I'll see if I can set up a date when you can come down and get them registered.
My husband and I are both registrars, and we're both Christians, so that would make it easy.
Okay, we'll give you the message that day, and then you can take registration.
All right.
Anything else? Any more questions? Not just to Ms. Jones, but of anybody else.
Regarding the $16 billion, as a financial advisor, I understand that debt does not build wealth. So, what impact do you feel you could make in regards to debt? I am so glad you asked that question. So let me preface that by saying the greatest threat to our nation is not Iran, not any other country. It's our debt. And so, can a freshman have influence? You bet. And so there are a couple of ways that I will have influence. One is by building relationships and keeping on the table every day that we have to make a commitment to pulling down the debt. And as you know, the moment we pull down that principal, we will be paying less in interest. And that interest is, I forget what the interest payment is right now, $670 million a day. It's an atrocious figure. And what does an interest payment get you? Nothing. that is just criminal. So, but for me, once I am there, I will be standing every day saying we have to pull down the debt. Two pieces though. You have to have a budget. And currently, we haven't had a budget for 3.5 years, and Moody will have to talk about how that's impacting you, because for the contractor community in Albuquerque, people are living on their IRAs and 401k. So, deficit. That is when there is a budget, but it's not in balance. Our budget right now is literally $3.6 trillion. That's what we're spending. We're only taking in $2.2 trillion. Now, I have to ask you, can any of you manage your households like that? No. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. So the first thing, it's several steps. The first step is to balance the budget. Take that step. Those are going to be hard steps, but you have to commit to pay down the debt. And there are lots of ways to do that. We will do it budgetarily, but I believe that we even need to open this up to the American citizens. There is not an American that I know who isn't worried about this. And yet, if you wanted to spend $10 to be applied to the debt, you can't. There is no mechanism for you to do that. Simple things like that. And I'll take any other ideas you have, because we will not get out of this position quickly. It took a long time to get there. It will take time for us to get out. But we have to commit. Thank you for that question. Great question. Thank you.
I got one question. What is every person's debt right now to the national debt?
I looked at it the other day, and I believe it's $116,000.
Per person, man, every man, woman, and child.
That is, and so these young people who are going to go out in their careers, by the time they get there, easily you will already have $200,000 in debt around your neck. I think that is immoral. Immoral. We have to fix it.
Any other questions of the candidates? Young man.
Go to Disneyland?
Are you asking just me, or would you like all of us to answer? Okay, do you want your dad to start? Okay.
All right. Well, the first thing I'll do is I will give you a hug. No, but when I would get sworn in, the first thing I would do is probably cut off the cases that have been sitting there, just doing nothing, that have been there 6 months in limbo. Judges oftentimes, present company excluded, complain about their dockets and how many cases they have. They can very easily, at least in family court, cut them off, because there's a lot of cases that just sit there and nobody's done anything. So just cut those off and free up some time for the court. What do you mean, cut off? Close them. You can close them if they've been inactive for 6 months.
Any other questions?
I think he wants an answer from everybody.
Oh, okay. You want an answer from everybody? All right.
Well, I will spend some time with my wife and children. I have 2 little girls, who are 11 and 9 years old, and to say that being a candidate in an election is very grueling is an understatement. It's very difficult for families. I'm sure David's family, as well as Janice and all the other candidates. And we're a local election here in Bernalillo County, so I'm going to spend some time with my family and then continue doing what I do best, which I think is administrative justice. Let me go ahead and try to answer this. You can follow up there. In New Mexico, the legislature has been controlled by the Democrats since about 1933, except for 2 years. We actually anticipate that this year the House will probably be turned over to the Republicans. That is going to cause a major upheaval in the whole organization. So, first things I'm going to be involved with is going to be involved in this restructuring and getting orientated as to how the legislature works and what it does, and get into the meat and potatoes of it, getting right into the process. Now, I have been an assistant in the Santa Fe for one session, so I have a little bit of an idea of what's going on. But I haven't been a legislator, so we'll be learning how to legislate, if you will.
Well, see, I have grandchildren. In fact, I have 10 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. And right now, there's a lot of people that want to tap into what they call the permanent funds. We have 2 of them up in Santa Fe. And this is money for a rainy day, but it's primarily for education. That's you guys' education. And like I said, once they start tapping that, like you have a piggy bank, it's pull it out of there, it'll be gone by the time you really need it. So I would, that's one thing I would do, is I'd make sure that they can't touch it. The next thing is that right now, if I go up there, say I was a young man, say I was 30 years old, and I spent 10 years in the state legislature. Okay, just 10 years. At $500 a year that's put in my pension fund, okay? That's $5,000, right? Okay. If you divide that by 12, say then I retire. So every month I would get, what? About $480, okay? For 10 years, there's some people out here that's worked for 30 years, and they don't get that much from any company. So the first thing I would do, that would be the second thing, is I'd make sure that they do away with that retirement system. If you go up there, you want to be a servant. They're going up there for 30 days one year and 60 days another year. And 10 years, you figure that out. That's about 1 year's total service in 10 years. And that's what I would do. But I'm afraid for my grandchildren. It's going to be a hard world for my children. I mean, both husband and wife are working right now. It's going to be rough on them. And when we go broke, but that's the main thing, is I would take care of that fund, make sure it's not taken away from you guys.
So very quickly, all the things they said, I'm going to hug my husband, I'm going to hug my kids. I have so many people to say thank you to. All of that happened. But on the next day, I was sitting down with Congressman Manuel Lujan, who is literally the Dean of Constituent Services. One of the privileges about being the member of Congress from this district is to provide those services. I have been working on this for a year, but making sure that I have that in place that first week is, and getting it ready to go is important, because on November 13th, I have to be in Washington to be trained as a member of Congress, and I won't be back until the 27th. So there's not much time. And of course, you get Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas, and January 3rd, I get sworn in. Y'all will at least get to wait until about the 17th of January. But in terms of legislation, as a brand new member of Congress, there are things that you can do. And so one of the things that I will draft early on are some rule changes. Rule changes are easier for new members to do. They are hard to get through. One of the first rules I will propose is single-issue legislation. I think it is time that we not have to vote, for example, on the defense budget and abortion simultaneously. That is not fair to the American people. You deserve to know what the vote is, and I should not have to choose between, is this bill 30% really good and 70% pretty awful. That's what we're doing. That's wrong. That is wrong. But there's something else that I can do as a new member of Congress. So I am sure that you hear about people being home in their district. So let me just put this really clearly. This is chicken caca. Let me tell you, here's the deal. In order to get somebody's vote, you have to know them well enough that they know you care about their issues. You cannot do that without a relationship. Currently, Congress will fly in Monday night. They go into session Tuesday morning so they can leave Thursday at noon. The member comes back to their district, and if they live in Hawaii, I mean, New Mexico's bad enough, but in Hawaii, the members are literally comatose. What kind of service is that? So my first proposal will be that Congress works 3 weeks on, Monday through Saturday, 2 weeks off, because when I come home, I expect to have a conversation with you. and there must be time to do that. Great question.
If you're elected, are you going to hold town hall meetings?
I have been holding town hall meetings every Saturday for 4.5 years, and it is the best way to actually figure out what legislation you should be writing. And I would encourage each one of you to do the same. The really good legislation comes from you. You know what the problem is. It's not the headline in the newspaper. That's not where it is. If you really want to fix it, you have to get down at the level where it's affecting real people. Once you get there, you will get the answer. And it's really pretty eloquent. You can do this.
But you, I'll be able to ask a question of you.
Anytime.
It won't be a canned question.
Nope. For me, when I say we've been holding town hall meetings discussions, I participate. So you all are invited, 9 to noon, every Saturday, except for today and next week because we're a little bit committed. We almost never miss. 9 to noon, Southwest Secondary Learning Center, Candelaria and Morris. We bring the coffee. It's pretty good. And my best legislation came from that group, including those webcams. And the people you have the answer. So, yes, I really encourage you to do that. It is so worthwhile.
Amen. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Or a question, comment? Anybody? Well, with that, I guess we can just go ahead and close this. And if you want to meet with the candidates and ask them a question on a one-to-one basis, we have some food inside. We got some fruit. We got some salad. Just help yourself. Make yourself at home. Mi casa